that alone, as I told you, should be grounds for your canonization. I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, just the way that you took everything from the whole, part two and distilled it down into that, and then added the columns for metrics and costs. Was just brilliant. So I just want to give you the proper shout out, which is probably wholly inadequate for the amount of work, but it's just,
Thank you.
phenomenal.
Thank you.
Oh.
The reward will be in the results to come. So thank you.
So, with that,
we are now recording.
Okay. I don't know if folks have had a chance to look at the revised recommendations, including the table that Michelle did. But I think, that's probably as good a place as any to start with conversation about things. Are there other things that we need to consider? I know we just got preliminary draft of preface from David Falconley and Charles Chavis. So, again, OAG is kind of working through that. What else? We should have comments on part one back to Leah and Janice by the end of the day today. So, I mean, there's a whole lot.
Busy day.
To discuss. Yes, it's been busy.
If you want to start with the second half, can I just kind of give a preface to what I did and give people an opportunity to ask questions or express concerns?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I did a couple of things. If you guys notice, this draft has 84 recommendations. The last draft you guys saw had 120 something recommendations. What I tried to do was reduce any duplication in the recommendation. So sometimes something would appear in education, it would also appear in mental health, it might appear in community health. And because we were trying to quantify the cost of these recommendations, I felt like it was really important to not repeat the same thing in multiple places. And so a good bit of the reduction was just streamlining. But if something elaborated a little bit more in one direction, in one place than another, I would try to pull in the content so that none of the content was lost. It just was consolidated. Another thing is there is a AI tool that OAG's office is using named Claude, and Claude is phenomenal. And they basically can ask Claude any legislative type question, and he spits back these answers. He's not perfect. I found some mistakes in Claude, but he points us in the right direction and gets us thinking about things. And so OAG ran all of our criminal justice recommendations through Claude to ask him how much of what we're recommending hasn't already been implemented, because Maryland had done a lot of criminal justice reform with the Police Accountability Act in 2021 and a couple of other acts that increased police accountability. And so we didn't want to make a recommendation that had already been passed into law. And so that reduced a fair number of our criminal justice recommendations. A couple of examples: all police departments are supposed to have do they have police review boards? And so instead of saying make every police department have a police review board, I added teeth to the police review board to say they can overrule police chiefs' recommendations if they think the sentence is too lenient. But that also reduced a lot of our recommendations because there was some overlap. Claude also helped us out just kind of as a sounding board. I came up with and this is something I'd love you guys' feedback on if you could pay attention to. All of the cost estimates, I really just did my best effort to estimate, but I don't have like an incredibly sound basis for them. Oh crap, we're recording. But so I made assumptions, and I tried to make reasonable assumptions on what something might cost. But in particular, and Stephanie, in particular for you, I don't know how deeply you've gotten into it, but if you could at a minimum take a deep dive into the cost estimates for material reparations and let me know if you think I'm off base. One thing I did try to do is I erred on the kind of the leaner side because I was trying not to make our recommendations when you take them all together be so large that we get laughed out of a room. And so I was, so it's not, things aren't as huge as they could be. And it's because we have so many recommendations, but they still need to be meaningful. They still need to be substantive. They still need to get the job done. So if you guys see any place where you're like, this just isn't going to cut it, we welcome that feedback. Don't, like, what I'm saying is don't feel like this is, written in stone, even though today's the last day to make edits, but it's where that's why I haven't turned in the draft of 3PV yet, is because I wanted us to have this meeting. I wanted you guys to give us feedback, and if there's any tweaks that we need to make, then I'll spend the next couple hours working on them. Is that the main? The same thing goes for success metrics. If you guys think that they could have, any more precision to them, I'd welcome that. The 3 categories that I did add were success metrics, cost, and the other is the applicability. I forgot what I called it. I think I might have called it applicability, but basically what it is just distinguishing between which recommendations would apply to the general public and which recommendations would be specific for the descendants of the lynching victims and the descendants of those community members. And so, and that is to be distinguished from Black people. I try to be really intentional about there not being any recommendations specifically for Black people, given the attacks that race conscious remedies are undergoing. And so by focusing on the descendants of lynching victims and the descendants of the community members, it is a specific lineage based category that I think should be outside of a race conscious objection. So just kind of wanted to explain what you saw, what you're looking at, and give the opportunity for you guys to provide feedback or raise any concerns.
So I wanted to thank you for putting it in the chart form. That way it was easy for me to grab. We are being recorded, so I am scared to say certain things. I'm gonna be really frank with you because I have
Maybe
questions.
you could send me an email if you want.
Yeah. I have some. I actually wrote comments, just questions I have about costs, about metrics, about success metrics and their causal link to the recommendation. I think there needs to be some things done there. And also, and again, I'm not certain where the commission came down after I had explained like languaging and who should get reparations and all of that. I think, again, I don't know where the commission is, but there's this universal Blackness that's being utilized, particularly around Black-owned businesses, not being very clear to me around we're doing poverty reduction strategies and there are organizations, who gets that money. There are things like that that I have questions on that I think might need a second look.
Can I send you the Word version, and could you maybe add your questions as comments or
Can I do this? Can I send you? I put it in a PDF. This is the only reason why, Commissioner Coles, I have a major project due by next Friday that I'm working on.
Okay.
Cutting off from everything.
Okay, yeah, just send it to me and I'll take a look.
And if you have any questions, send it to me because they were kind of my comments to myself.
Yeah.
Just to give you just a little bit of a sense. I highlighted throughout things around metrics,
yeah,
things around costs. I have questions around that. They're pretty much the same questions.
Okay, and
I'll definitely take a look. Highlights in some different colors that mean this might be a problem, at least from my perspective, and I want to get clear about some things.
Okay,
so I can send that to you. I'll send it to you now. Actually,
send that to me. One thing that I tried to do is where we did in the recommendation, maybe we referenced a Black-owned business or a Black male initiative or things like that. In the applicability is where I still limited it to the lineage question of the descendants of the racial terror lynching.
Saw that, but it wasn't for some of the categories around, like, Black-owned businesses getting X, or looking at this kind of poverty reduction. There was a couple areas I had some questions around.
Okay, I'll take another look.
All right.
At that.
And again, the questions they may not be that clear to you. So because then this is my own kind of working document
I got you.
for this meeting. So if you have any questions, just reach out to me and I'll send that to you now.
Okay. Can you include your phone number on your email just in case I need to do a quick reach out?
Absolutely.
Okay. I feel like there was something else you said that I wanted to. Oh, and I wanted, one thing I did want to flag for you, Stephanie, is I know that there was a recommendation that I believe you had added about tax abatements for, that's maybe one of the only recommendations that I didn't include that doesn't have a duplicate, other than the fact that there are economic based recommendations. And the reason being is I couldn't figure out how to cost it, success metric it. I couldn't wrap my mind around how to quantify that. You know what I mean? And so I ended up just taking it out. And because money is flowing in from so many other, places, I just wanted to, let you know that that was why that one's not in there.
Okay. I'm going, and if you want to, maybe we can talk through what that cost metric could be.
Yeah, and then the success metrics. I mean, I don't know the tax code. Like, I was just trying to be as specific as possible with recommendations, and I couldn't figure out how to do that with that one.
But some of that may be the recommendation is for an economist or someone with that type of background to make that recommendation. I think that's how that could be.
Okay. All right.
On that front, should we try to approach Professor Darity again, or since he's sort of the guru on that front?
I don't think we can do that today.
No. But yeah, had be the time. But
Elizabeth, did you have your hand up?
Well, I've just got a couple comments on the recommendations, but they're not like big picture. They're just more smaller ones. So I can either just go through them, or I didn't know how you wanted to handle moving through the recommendations. Or
let me pull up my draft of them, and then maybe I can kind of look at it while you're talking. Okay, which recommendation is it?
So on the first page, 47, just that last one, the B2, in the applicability column, it says the task force will seek to identify and provide compensation. But it's like, so for me, as looking at this fresh, I don't know what task force you're talking about. Okay. So I don't know if there's elsewhere that the task force has been addressed, but you might just put a little more clarification on what task force that is somewhere in the recommendation.
That's a great point. It's a task force that was mentioned in number 1, but you can't see that in the table. So that's a good point to kind of clarify.
Okay.
But yeah, it's, I think recommendation number 1, ask Maryland to create a task force to identify the victims and the descendants. And this is saying this is something they'll also do.
Okay.
But I'll highlight that to make that clearer.
And then on the next page, 48, the correct census records. So for me, just looking at that.
I see 7, number 7. Okay.
Yeah, number 7. Sorry about that. I'm not sure I understand. Like a lot of these other recommendations, it's very clear why it would be beneficial or what the problem is it's trying to correct. And I'm not as clear on that. And maybe for folks here, it's very obvious why that is necessary. But I didn't know if you could add like correct census records to.
I want to say that may have been one that Stephanie added. Is that one you added, Stephanie? Could you maybe explain that one? Because I didn't know if I fully understood it myself.
I'm so sorry. I was not listening. I'm not one of these people that can do everything at once. I was
Okay.
looking for the document I was about to send you. Do you mind repeating that? My
The
apologies.
the recommendation about correcting census records, was that one you made?
Did I make that? I don't think I made that.
Let me
Did
pull
I?
up the,
I can't
I'm not,
remember. There was so much that I've done since then that I
yeah,
literally can't remember.
I'll try to, let me pull up this, let me look at the spreadsheet and I'll
Okay,
read
please
that
do.
was written on the spreadsheet and then maybe people can figure out. But yeah, you're right, to point that out, Elizabeth. I wasn't entirely clear on that one, and so I may have not even done it justice because I didn't really understand. So the recommendation says partner with the federal government to correct census records for victims of racial terror lynchings and ensure those records are accessible to the public. And then it says state, public, and private agencies should amend death certificates to reflect accurate causes of death and restore original names that were changed out of fear of retaliation. Churches should also grant free access to records for families of lynching victims. States should fund the digitalization of historical records and provide free access to online genealogical services for families of racial terror victims and for Black Marylanders descended from U.S. chattel slavery. So that's what's in the body of the document about it. So I guess I understood it a little bit, but I didn't write that one. Does that make it clearer
Yeah,
to you, or do you still have questions?
I guess it's because this is going to go in the report, right? The table.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. And
So clarify
will
it on
that
the
will that more detailed description be also in the report or no?
Yeah, this is everything in the documents in the report. So the table is referencing back all the text that precedes it. So what I just read you was in the report for B7.
Okay, so the table is just like an additional sort of, for convenience, a way to organize what's already in the report in a narrative form. Is that
Exactly.
okay?
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's just a shorter way to reference it, and then the cost.
Okay, well,
the
I don't have a
success
strong
metrics-
feeling. Yeah, as long as it's looping back to something that's more detailed
Yes.
that will explain, then that makes sense. Same goes with the task force then, if that's already there. I just was reading this sort of as a standalone document that would only be by itself.
Okay.
So
Oh,
then
okay.
the
Yeah,
only-
no.
Yeah, it's not. So the only other thing is like tiny typo on page 56, which
Okay, one
is
second.
item number 5.
Hold on one second.
For the Charles Chipman in the applicability column,
Okay, you said 56.
page 56. Yeah. Recommendation
Number
5.
5.
In the far
Okay, got
right
it.
column, it's
Okay.
is possessive, not
The far right column. The sinners, other sinners with yes.
Yeah.
The sinners not possessive. Got it. Thank you.
Right. It should be possessive, not the apostrophe s.
Wait, it shouldn't be possessive
Right.
at all, right? It should just be plural.
Yeah,
Right.
and other centers with similar missions. Yeah.
Yeah.
No apostrophe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, got it. Thank you. Great catch.
It's a tiny detail.
So regarding Ms. Hughes's comment about the census, and you asked that I write, I did not write that, but I added to it. I think it was there. I think someone had already put it there. It was a great recommendation. I think I added some things to it. I just
Okay.
don't know specifically what I added.
Okay.
Because it was already something there, and I think it was pretty robust, and I just may have added a little bit of language.
Got it.
And so I do have a question for clarification. Just from Commissioner Creary and Commissioner Coles, and this may help me with some of the comments Commissioner Coles I made on the document. So I recognize that these recommendations are going to the legislature. And so there are a couple of ways that I'm really looking at this. So then these recommendations going to the legislature, some of the things that you have written, which could possibly give us more time to look into, like around metrics and costs, are really implementation kind of plan line item things that not necessarily the legislature would even get into, right? That would be something more, I think, on an operational implementation level. So I'm saying that to say that possibly there could be some language tweaks to discuss that, success metrics to be set by whatever implementing body would do that, right? Costs of this will be set by an economist knowledgeable about, a reparations distribution, something like that. Because I'm wondering at this point, even though I think those real tangible items are really good, I'm wondering for the legislature if it's beyond the scope at this point, or having something else saying, we think that there should be some success metrics. We believe that there should be certain amount of monies that are allocated to this. We're looking, we don't quite know what that is, but that's something that needs to be figured out by the economists. I don't know. I'm trying to get a sense of what really is supposed to go to the legislature, because they're not going to be implementing those specifics.
Well, they won't be implementing, but they will be funding and creating budget items for. And so in passing the legislation, they're going to have to attach a dollar to it. And so the people who are implementing it, that step's going to come after it's been funded. And so I could definitely see the value in maybe adding an asterisk footnote or something to kind of say that these are just rough estimates and that they should be considered by experts. Maybe we could add some buffering language, to not be bound by this. That we just wanted to provide some ideas for the legislature's consideration, but we think a expert or an economist should study to determine the correct cost.
And that's what I want to know, because I know there's going to be a dollar amount attached to this. We'll talk offline.
Okay. Because we're going to have to go around and sell this thing. And when we're talking to the legislatures, I think the first thing they're going to ask us is, well, what's it going to cost to do this? And so we wanted to have an answer, even if it's not the right answer. We wanted to have, and we didn't want to, just shrug our shoulders.
I understand. I want to step back. We can talk offline on that. I want to step back.
Okay.
Maybe one way to categorize, to say, these are estimates, and these should be seen as a starting point for the conversation about allocation, funding allocations. And again, if they start with creating that agency that's supposed to oversee all of the implementation process, then I think that would presumably give them the latitude to kind of say, all right, based on what we have here, we can set up the metrics and get those right into the dashboard and kind of get started, within that first year.
I have a lot there. I'll wait. I'll wait.
I mean, I think this is an excellent strategy. I mean, one of the things that we experienced in Arkansas was, and this was at the front end, but when they were trying to get legislation to create a truth commission, like what what was created in Maryland, one of the things that the Republican members of the committees, it was the cost that they hammered home, and the proponents did not have a good answer at that point. So, to have that, and that was really a kind of a fatal flaw because it provided a convenient excuse for why they couldn't do anything about it because how are we to know? So and I think having an estimate that's not a bare bones estimate, right? Also because there'll be negotiation somewhere along the way. I think this is really valuable.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned to Commissioner Coles earlier, it's like, yeah, I generally tend to, add more because in the course of the negotiations, it's going to get cut down.
Yeah. It was interesting that when I added everything up, it came out to exactly 1% of our state's budget. I thought that it was like just coincident. Like I had a calculator and I added up every line, and then I Googled, I was like, what's the Maryland state budget? And it was exactly pretty much almost exactly 1% of it. So I feel like that's a good talking point that we're not asking for the world, we're just asking for some redress. And it's a very small percentage of our state's budget.
1%. I mean, we can say in most cases 1% is not statistically significant, but but yeah, when people see that as what is it, $330 some million, they're gonna say, oh my God, it's like, yeah, that is a big chunk of change. But in the grand scheme of things, we're not asking for a lot.
Yeah. And it would make a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And another thing is that a lot of these items already exist in some degree to the budget. So it's not even an entirely separate 660 million from the existing budget. There's going to be overlap in in the poverty programs. There's going to be overlap in community policing, right? They're already doing some of these things. We're just asking them to do it a little differently. And so realistically speaking, the number's even lower because many of these items already exist in the existing budget.
Yeah. And as you point out in several points, we're going to get a lot of that money back, in terms of
Savings.
what state will save in terms of prosecutions, policings,
Incarceration,
for, paying for,
lawsuit.
qualified, immunity and all of those things. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have to get this stuff to 3PV today. I sent it out. I think I sent it out to everyone on Wednesday. So, we don't have a lot of time left. So just the more specific kind of edits you have, that's the more helpful it'll be. That's something that I can just kind of plug in. Yeah. So, and if something's minor, like it's not going to the printer today, it's going to 3PV today for them to create a full first draft. We will still have another opportunity to lay eyes on it. I think the goal is for it to go to the printer when?
The 17th.
The 17th.
So today.
Yeah. So I would say let's do all that we can today to try to address any issues and concerns people have. And then if anyone has continuing concerns or issues, if you could try to get those into an edit and still share them with me even after today. And then when we get a second bite at the apple, I can work on trying to implement those, make those changes. Anything else?
Again, I'll stop on the hagiography, but again, I can't thank you enough for the person hours that you put into putting all of that together.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. One other thing I forgot to mention that's an addition is in the legal introduction to the recommendations, Nick drafted a kind of a comparative reparations digest, looking at different countries that have done reparations programs, different domestic reparations programs. So it's part 3 of the legal analysis, and that's new in this draft. So if you get a chance to review that, please do that as well. And after that is when we go into the actual recommendations. Yeah. It's a lot of moving parts.
Yes.
We have our chair and our vice chair. They drafted a case for action that's going to be like a preamble to the report. And it's really, really well written. And they just kind of set the stage for why we're doing this work, why it's necessary. And then we're also addressing some objections that we anticipate receiving. We're kind of addressing them in advance. Like, oh, it's been so much time. Why do we need to do anything about this? Or this is so expensive, or, I didn't cause this. Why do I have to pay for it? Those kind of concerns. And so we're just kind of getting ahead of them by laying them out and answering those questions.
That's great.
That's interesting, Michelle. I almost wonder if something like that, almost like an FAQ, is something that would be helpful for the general public, depending on how we roll out the report and where it's posted on the archives website or whatever, sort of an FAQ that explains why is this important and why is this a good use of resources, and, whatever you think might be questions that would be logged.
That was what Sophie and OAG, she had kind of said, she had suggested drafting like a case for action and an FAQ, or putting them together. And so right now they're together, but we can always pull those questions and answers out and also make it a separate document. And if any of you guys think of any other objections that we're likely to get that you think we should answer in advance, let us know, and we can kind of add that to the FAQ.
And all of this by Monday, right?
Yeah, I just thought of another one that's probably worth including. These people are accused of committing heinous crimes. Why are we celebrating them? I'm just putting on my red hat. Maybe that's another one that should be in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's where the answer would be about due process, and that an accusation is not a conviction, that everyone's entitled to the right to defend themselves.
Mm-hmm. And I would say also, given the brute Negro narrative that they were using, I mean, the allegations themselves would probably be pretty spurious at best.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider, Ida B. Wells, talking about the clandestine consensual interracial relationships, which were illegal at the time.
Yeah.
Was this really a crime?
Yeah, Nick, I know we're past the time, but
I have us.
No. I'm just saying that is a really good point to make in the legal section, because I have the Maryland statute that prohibited interracial fornication. It would be I don't know if you have time, but it would be great if you added that Ida B. Wells point right there, to just kind of, I kind of like said it in passing, but I didn't include Ida B. Wells in it. I said that Maryland's state laws incentivize lying about sexual relationships, but I think that would be a great sentence to add about what she found through her research.
Yeah. Let me see where I can find that.
I can tell you the page it's on.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. So much to include. It's on page 4.
Page 4? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And you're which version are you in right now? Are you in the one
Uh,
that says clean?
I've got the PDF that.
You've got the PDF.
Yeah, I'm working on the PDF.
Okay. I'll just add
So,
it into the draft. That's fine.
right. So that's going to be in.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think just a quick reference to Southern Horrors, is where she laid all of that out.
Okay.
I mean, if you want, I can try to. Why can't I type? Here is a first pass.
Okay. How are you sending it?
I'm just putting it in the
The comments?
comments here, and if that's okay, you can copy and paste. If not,
Okay.
then try again.
Okay. Yeah, that works. Thank you.
Mhm.
I should italicize Southern Horrors because it's a book.
Yes, and again, I guess I because I had the italics in there, but I guess
Okay. No, I just wanted to confirm.
yeah. And let me get you the full citation there, or the full title.
Okay.
Oh, I don't need. Yeah, it's Southern Horrors, Lynch Law in all its phases. Here, I'll pop that in. Yeah. And as I recall, she even got an introduction or a foreword by Frederick Douglass in there.
Nice. All right, I'm gonna send that question to Zanita too, in case.
Mhm.
Instead. All right. So basically, we got a lot to do. Do we have anything else to meet about?
Well, I don't know. Do we want to or need to talk about part one? Since we have to have comments back to Leah by the end of the day today. I mean, again, I was going through, I got about 50 pages in and everything looks fine, you know. Again, as I recall, Sophie was, you know, and in her comments, you know, it sort of said, hey, there's a lot of repetition. Yeah, there is. There's still a lot of repetition, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Plus, we have the full case studies happening in the appendices, so you know that's.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, I thought part one looks good. I didn't have any concerns.
no, me neither.
Yeah. Then we'll get to see it all together pretty soon.
Yep. I'm guessing Monday, which is, I'm guessing, is going to mean they're going to have an awfully busy weekend.
Yeah. I think it's shorter now. I think I probably cut maybe like 30 pages off of the part two. So it's gone
Yeah.
down.
No, that's great. And again, the pages that you include with the table, well worth it, you know. So again, I think it's, yeah, it was a very effective series of edits that you did there.
Awesome.
But I mean, because you also added an awful lot in there too.
Okay.
Right.
Anything else?
Not that I have. But if other folks, you know, yeah, if we don't have anything else, then we can give you a few minutes of your life back.
Get back to work.
I was gonna ask really quickly. Can I send the two of you a Zoom link real quick?
Yeah.
Just to talk about those comments really quickly,
Sure.
if that's all right.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay, great.
Okay, well, have a great weekend.
Thanks. You
Thank
too.
you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Appreciate
I'm
it.
sending
See
the
you.
link
Thanks for
now.
coming.
Take care.
Thanks for coming. Bye.
Bye-bye.